Beautiful people, this is Jose Trujillo, world's greatest living artist, coming to you from the art studio where we make ish happen. Uh, I had a funny interaction with my driver this morning, one of those Lyft drivers. It was totally funny. It was hilarious, actually. I thought it was an interesting little thing. Here, let me put my phone here. So basically, I order a Lyft driver, and the driver picks me up. The driver picks me up from my apartment, and it's so funny because he's like, it's almost like he's upset, right? And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on, right? This guy seems like he's upset, like he's like in a bad mood. And he starts telling me, how much do you pay here? How much do I pay my apartment? And then I tell him, he's like, oh my God, how much? Why so much? He starts getting upset, right? And I'm like, hey, come down, it's all right. I can handle it. I was like, don't worry about it. Anyways, so he starts giving me money advice, right, and business advice. And at first I'm like, why is this driver trying to give me money advice and economy advice? Then he tells me that he's an entrepreneur and he's in the hotel business and on and on and on. So, anyways, I thought it was interesting because we try to make sense of things, right? And I'm not saying that there's anything good or bad about trying to make sense of things, but for the most part, when we make a decision, whatever that is, in this case it was the apartments where I lived. He's trying to scold me that I was paying too much. He was upset. But in any decision that we make, there is always a thing that you're gonna try to make sense of it. For example, when I got this warehouse, I had people telling me, "Oh my God, you're gonna pay so much in electricity. I can't believe you're gonna pay so much in AC, or you're gonna pay so much in supplies. The bigger the space, the more you're gonna want to fill it. And there's gonna be all these supplies, and you're gonna pay double of what you used to pay before." And I'm like, son, because I'm trying to make 10 times more than what I used to make before. That's really what I'm trying to do. But in either case, we will try to make sense of our decisions. This is what I'm trying to tell you in this hammer time, this early talk. We will try to make sense of our decisions. And if you're trying to make sense of your decisions, we all do, regardless of. But it's really wasting more time. It's really wasting energy and time. Once we make a decision, I believe that we need to go head on with it. We need to go so hard at it and make it work. Not trying to explain ourselves. For example, I got this warehouse space. It's about it's over 3,000 square feet, right? I went and I got three new people to help me, right? As an artist, when I talk to artists, most artists are like, dude, that's insane. You don't need all that space, and you don't need all these people to help you. You're an artist. I mean, you really, like, what are they going to help you with? You really should just, instead of selling your artwork at lower price points, what you should do is raise the price really high and only sell like one a day for a few $1,000s or whatever, right? We try to make sense of things. While all those things are very smart, the things that I just told you, they're very smart. Like, oh, okay, yeah, raise the price and I don't know, like go to high-end galleries or museums and that way you're not stuck with a huge place and paying people to help you package artwork and on and on. While all those things make sense, from a intellectual point of view, they experientially are not necessarily the right thing to do, or are not necessarily the right thing to do now. Experientially is very different. I've talked about this in many other. How's it going? How's it going, Celeste? Experientially is a very different thing. I could tell you, if you're an artist and you're starting out, I could tell you, look, you really don't have to paint that much. All you really have to do is just make one painting and then put a price point around, make a painting that is on a price point around, I don't know, $3,000, right? Around $3,000, and sell one a week. Sell one a week. All your efforts should be to try to sell that $3,000 painting, one of those paintings a week, right? And you sell 3-4 a month, right? Make $12,000 a month after tax and everything. And maybe you pay someone to help you package the work and ship it out, so that you're not stuck doing that. You probably end up with, I don't know, maybe about, I don't know, whatever, $6,000-7,000 after all expenses, right? And that's really that's how you make your living, right? As an artist, after you pay taxes and everything, materials and all that stuff, maybe you end up with about, I don't know, $7K or whatever a month. It sounds like someone's like, oh my God, yeah, well that makes a lot of sense, and on and on and on. The thing about those things is that when we think like that, we start hitting, I've talked about this before, a flat line. Remember, only dead people have flat lines, okay? We start hitting a flat line, which is you're not striving for more. You're not really striving for more. You're content with a flat line. You know, you're like, oh man, if I could just sell my $3,000 painting, maybe one a month, you know, I don't know. Most people would be like, yeah, one a month. That would be excellent. That would be some extra cash, or that would be maybe, I don't know, maybe for some people that is the cash, right? They're receiving. It doesn't matter whatever it means. Put a meaning on it. What I'm trying to say is that it will hit a flat line, and when you hit a flat line, what happens is that you start coming out with excuses. You start making sense of things. You start saying, oh, I'm going to turn off the lights because I don't want to spend more lights. Oh man, how can I find a way to not spend so much tape on the boxes? I know this stuff. How can I buy the canvases for a much cheaper way? I don't know. How can I do that? How can I prime? Maybe if I prime only once instead of priming 3 times the canvas. You guys start making sense of things. This is why I don't believe in that. Okay, this is how I started. I hope one of you at least is following up with what I'm trying to say. This is why I don't trust things that are from my intellectual powers, because it is very much fantasy. Growth is the way. Growth is the way. Every time that you're stuck with something, you start trying to make sense of it. I remember my mother, when I was a kid, she used to tell me, when you have only one of anything, right? You're gonna look for a place constantly to try to, an altar almost, right? To try to take care of it when you only have one. The problem is that you only have one. You know, one sale a month, one opportunity, one gallery show, one collector, you know, one whatever. The problem is that if you only have one, you're walking around like this, walking around scared, right? We're walking around scared. If I have an art studio and I'm not counting on getting more opportunities in, right? If I'm not counting on getting more opportunities into the art studio, what I'm going to start doing is, I see this all the time. I see this business owners do this shit all the time. They start making sense of it. They start turning off the lights. They don't want to turn on the AC that long. They're like, well, they start doing numbers. If I close once a week, I will save so much. So you start contracting. And what I've noticed over and over is that if a person does not expand, right? If anything doesn't expand, baby, it's dying. We just don't know it. So every time I hear people say, oh, if you do this, you would save money here. I'm like, dude, I ain't trying to save money. I'm trying to expand, baby. I'm trying to expand. I'm not trying to save money. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't care and I don't look at numbers while running a studio. But my first purpose is not to reduce the cost of something or to save. My first purpose, my main dish in the morning, as soon as I wake up, is, baby, I'm ready to expand. How can I expand this? How can I make it bigger? How can I get more people in the studio? How can I do more marketing? How can I create more artwork? How can I get more gallery shows? Talk to more interior designers? How can I do this? How can I expand? Now, every time that you say, how can I expand, it's going to take two things. Okay, it's going to take two things. It's going to take courage and resources. Courage and resources, right? Every time you talk about expanding. And I believe that this is one of the reasons why people hate the idea of expansion, right? They hate the idea of, oh man, well, yeah, but okay, so you have two more workers. That means that, oh man, now you have to pay twice as much in help, right? Now, if you have a bigger space, now you have to pay twice as much in electricity or in, on and on. If you paint more, that means you have to buy more canvases, more paint. So we try to make sense of things this way, right? And so I think that's why it's avoided. So going back to my interaction with my Lyft driver, he was trying to get me to make sense, right? And this guy's a business guy. I mean, he sounded like he knew what he was talking about. The thing is that he's trying to contract. Right? He's trying to contract. I asked him, do you just own one hotel? He's like, yeah, I used to own a couple, but I'm down to one. And I thought to myself, pretty soon, the way you're going, you're gonna go down to a few doors only because you're contracting. You're contracting. Now, I have no problem with someone else doing that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to contract. And this is my message to artists, guys. Every time you're contracting, you are going to start making sense of things. For example, if you're used to making one painting a day, right? If you're used to making one painting a day, and you go to only making, I don't know, one painting a week rather than one painting a day, you're going to start making sense of the time. See, regardless of the time or the resources, you're going to make sense of them. Your mind is going to start racing really fast to try to not make you wrong. This is what the mind does, because nobody wants to be wrong. This is what human beings do. Your mind starts it races to try to make sense of things. Well, it makes so much sense. Yeah, if I just paint one, that means I'll have more time for this, and that means I'll have more time for my family, and on. And you start making sense of things. And every time we do this, we don't know, but we're getting rid of the things that matter most to us. We're getting rid of the things that are extremely important to us, which is our goals, right? Our goals, our I'm waiting for my coffee. I ordered some coffee right now. We start losing our goals. We start losing our sense of enthusiasm because we're contracting. We're doing what old fruit does, right? You get a new fruit. It's expansive, full of water, full of liquid, right? The fruit's dying. What's happening? It starts contracting. It starts doing this. It starts contracting because it's dying. Everything that is dying contracts, guys. So be expansive. This is my message to you as an artist. Be expansive. Don't listen to people when they try to contract. This is fear-based. Contraction is fear-based. Imagine if you were an artist who, I don't know, everybody knows you on Instagram, right? You have over 1 million followers on Instagram. Imagine that. That's expansive. That's oh my God, people know you. On YouTube or gallery exhibits, that everybody wants a gallery exhibit from you, that's expansive, right? Where you're able to say, You know what? No, I'm not gonna do that gallery exhibit, and not because you feel overworked, because most artists do that right away, man. We're like, oh no, I can't take more than one gallery exhibit a year or two a year or whatever because we feel overworked. I'm talking about when everybody wants you to go to the gallery because you are in so much demand. Not because you found opportunities, but because you're so much in demand. You're Damien Hirst, and everybody wants your polka dots paintings, you know, or your Peter Max. Everybody wants your paintings, and you're so in demand that you're able to say, you know what, you're able to cherry pick if you feel like it, right? I'll do this, I'll do that. Oh, I like that. Settling for less than your best. Yeah. So, my message, guys, is expand. Expand. Find a way to expand. Expanding doesn't always mean physically. It many times it looks physically. It might mean virtually. It might mean virtually, right? It might mean expansion looks different, right? It looks different from different perspectives. What I've seen, but it's growth, and it might necessarily be physically. It might not be. Oh, I have 3 studios now, or I have 30 people helping me in my studio. It might not be that. It might be that. I don't know. But it could be in a different way. It could be like, oh my God, now I wrote a book that everybody's reading. Or I have a painting that everybody knows, right? Or I only have a group of paintings, but it's going around the world, right? Everybody, all the galleries and the art museums are trying to get them exhibited. Like Kehinde Wiley is one of my favorite modern art, postmodern, one of my favorite artists today. Kehinde Wiley, and this cat, man, he's just incredibly good. You know, his artwork is just top notch. So not only that, but the commentary of the artwork is extremely elevated. And so everybody, right? Everybody wants his work. Now that's expansive. That doesn't mean that he has a huge, although I think he has a big studio in New York, but it doesn't mean that he has this factory type of thing going on, right? It doesn't mean that he expanded there. He expanded elsewhere. He expanded in getting the art collection on a road show, right? In many different museums. That's expansive. So regardless of what you do, you want to expand, guys. I think I hammer this over and over. I hope it makes sense to artists. I hope it makes sense to artists, because most artists, we don't like the idea of expansion. We want to contract. We want to think about how can I do less. And when we start thinking about paintings to monetize, we start thinking about these little paintings. We're like, oh yeah, if I could just do this little painting. We go little. Everything that we do is very little. It's very it's contracting. It's contracting over and over. And my mind wanted to do that for the longest time until I started getting mentored by different entrepreneurs, and that's when I started understanding. Oh shit, man! I've had this all wrong all along. No wonder why things weren't working. This is one of the reasons I went and I got a big studio, because I wanted to expand. I needed to expand. Actually, I needed to stretch myself, right? Like the goldfish. You guys have heard of that? The goldfish doesn't. It only grows as big as the proportion of the bowl, right? So, yeah, dream big and do it. That's it right there. I love that. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna get started in some work, and I will get back to you guys later. All right, guys. Take care. Ooh, I got my coffee ready. Adios.